Hey, so in this video, I'm gonna show you 3 specific stretches that you can do to get rid of low back pain that's caused by running, okay? So we talk a lot about the importance of resistance training when we train here, but I personally like to run short distances outside of the gym. So if you're running short distances or long distances, or if you're doing sprinting or any kind of running style interval training, this would be good if you tend to get low back pain from running. Oftentimes it's not actually related to the joint and your spine itself, it's related to the muscles that are pulling on your spine. So a big one is actually, we think about low back pain, and we think this is the area where that's taking place, but there's other muscles that are acting upon your spine that are in different areas that if we stretch those actually will alleviate the low back pain. So the first biggest one we want to focus on are your primary hip flexor muscles, the iliopsoas, but specifically the psoas muscle. That attaches to your femur and it runs through your body and attaches to the side little bony processes of your low back vertebrae, your lumbar vertebrae. So when that muscle's activated, especially is when we're lifting up, we're doing hip flexion. So when you're running, especially if you're sprinting and you're really bringing that leg up pretty high, you're getting a lot of contracting in the psoas muscle. And so what can happen is if it attaches to your lumbar spine and then it attaches also to the femur bone, when you get a lot of contraction going on, you get the shortening of the muscle fibers. When those muscle fibers shorten, you get this low back compression or lumbar compression and the anterior pelvic tilt of your pelvis. Okay, so when those are too tight. So what we got to do is we got to stretch them. The best way to stretch them is to get full hip extension. So the first stretch I want to show you, you may even want a mat for your knee, is you want to get into this lunging position with your knee on the floor, and then you really want to kind of step that front leg pretty far forward. From here, you want to open up this hip right here. So you're going to push your hip downward and forward while keeping this leg back. Okay, that alone right there, really feeling a good stretch. That's going to start stretching the psoas and some of your quads. You'll even feel this. It'll be stretching another quadricep muscle that's also a hip flexor right here. But if you want to intensify this stretch, you can actually just grab the laces of your shoes. That's pretty difficult, but you can also reach back and grab it this way, which is a little bit easier. But holding that stretch and doing that on both sides and sinking into it again, hips going forward and downward, that's going to help stretch your psoas muscle, which is separate from doing deep tissue massage. That's probably the best stretch that you can do for that muscle that will help alleviate the low back pain. That will, when that muscle is stretched, we'll go from this position with lumbar compression and the forward anterior pelvic tilt. It will relax the muscle and it will allow your pelvis to tilt backwards or posterior, and it'll give the low back some relief. Now, the next stretch I want to show you is a stretch that you do in yoga class. I believe it's called leaf pose. I'm not sure, but this one is really great. So what you want to do, and I'll show you, actually I'm going to show you from this thing. So you're going to lay flat, okay? Chest up, flat on the floor, nice and comfortable. One leg is going to stay extended. The other leg is going to come all the way up as high as you can. Now, if you have tight hamstrings, this might not be possible, so you would want to bend your knee. Either one of these options will work just fine. And then you want to take the inside of that leg and you want to take it to the floor over here, okay? Exhaling to relax, and then this arm, I'm going to reach the opposite direction like this. Take a breath. Exhale. And let your whole body sink into the floor. So now what we're focusing on is actually stretching some of the muscles around your low back, specifically QLs and some other muscles. And those muscles can also get tight when you're running. These are not related to the psoas hip flexor muscles, but they are muscles that can get tight from running. And then we bring the leg back to center, extend that one, and then bring the other leg up. Again, leg extended or knee bent. Take the inside to that side of the floor, and then reach back with the other hand. Exhale and relax and just sink into the floor. Take another breath. Okay? So that will help stretch and alleviate tension in the quadratus lumborum, or we just call them the QL muscles, okay? Which can also be culprits for low back pain. Now the next one I want to show you is going to stretch some of the deeper glute muscles that can get really tight when we run. Let's see if I can get the right angle here. So what we want to do is you want to get up against a wall or a sturdy object like this. We're going to take the leg that we want to stretch, or the deeper glute muscles that we want to stretch, and also this will stretch your TFL, which is the tensor fascia lata muscle. And be careful with this one because you don't want to like hurt your knee or anything like that. And we're going to put the outside edge of our foot on the floor, pretty far away. And then what we're going to do is control with our arm. We're going to control how intense this stretch is. And then I want you to take your hips diagonally to the floor and further away from you to the side. So if I sit into that, and I'm taking my hips this way, and I'm also kind of like leaning the opposite direction, that is going to be a really nice stretch for those deeper glute muscles and TFL. So we're going to hold that for a sec. Now let's show you a different angle. So we can switch sides, get to the other leg, right there, and then again directionally we're going to sit here. And you can also use your elbow on your thigh to kind of control how intense this is. Now this side is a lot tighter. You'll probably notice some imbalances. This side is a lot tighter for me. The other side was fine, and that's usually just depends on your own body. How if you tend to push off harder on one leg, if you tend to when you're standing, if you like stand leaning on one leg, you can have different muscle imbalances and biases that way. But those are 3 great stretches to alleviate low back pain and pelvic pain from running. So let me know what you thought about that, if that was helpful or not, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.